Hey guys, Mr. Happy here, and today we are going to go over the final Extreme Primal for patch 2.1, Ifrit. I know it's Ifrit, I'm going to call him Ifrit. This fight requires an average item level of 70 to attempt, as well as completing the quest for defeating Titan Extreme. This fight will feel very familiar to Ifrit hard mode, but everything is amped up several fold. There are several new mechanics, and there are a lot more nails. Don't be worried though, more than anything, it's a DPS check, and as Ifrit has very low HP. So just follow this guide and you should be well on your way to an Extreme Primal Weapon. At the end of this guide, I will include a walkthrough of our fight with Ifrit Extreme to give you a better feel of how the fight plays out in its entirety. We are going to go over this fight phase by phase, covering the order in which Ifrit performs his attacks so that you may properly prepare yourself for each attack. Phase 1 will start with Ifrit immediately hitting you with a slew of bad news. First and most importantly, every single one of Ifrit's auto attacks will deal damage in a large cone in front of him, shown by his wide swiping animations. Additionally, he'll also be able to use Incinerate, his fire breath attack, which now deals very high damage as well as places a stacking debuff on the tank. This debuff reduces the target's maximum HP and increases the damage they take greatly. He uses Incinerate at non-regular intervals, so it's really hard to predict. It really depends on which abilities are currently in his rotation. At some parts, they are maybe 15 to 20 seconds apart. At times, they were merely 5 seconds apart. Just be ready for extremely sporadic tank swaps for the entirety of the fight. Ifrit still retains Vulcan Burst as well, so if you don't have Stone Skin, expect to see some knockbacks occur, which can be very dangerous with Ifrit's new ability, Inferno Howl. This attack will be spit at one of your two healers every 25 to 30 seconds. It will deal some initial damage to the healer, but after that they will suffer no more damage. Instead, it will place a debuff called Searing Wind, and every 5 seconds that player will do a large pulse outward for about 20 seconds, similar to Vulcan Burst. This explosion deals about 2,500 damage and knocks back whoever it hits, so you really want to be sure your healers are very separated from the rest of the group. Now, not only does it go for the healers, but it does alternate which one it hits, so you can easily coordinate your efforts to ensure each healer is in a safe spot long before they have the howl on them. There are several ways to deal with this mechanic. We opted to have both healers stand far away from the main party and let the howl alternate on them so that they would have very little moving to do and they could do more healing. You can start the fight like this and then designate a safe spot for the healers to stand as well, so that one is always with the group and the other is always away. Ifrit will also do Eruptions, and in phase 1 he will do them just after picking a target for Inferno Hal, so you will have to be careful with where you are running. Unlike in Ifrit hard mode, these Eruptions cannot be interrupted, so you need to be sure to be dodging them properly. Additionally, right away in phase 1, they will appear under 3 targets and they will explode a total of 3 times. Now, to handle Eruption, we stack up on Ifrit's behind and dodge in any direction other than where the howled healer is standing. With the latency fixes in patch 2.1, these did feel a great deal easier to escape. Just be careful about where you are running. When Ifrit's HP falls to 80%, he will summon 4 infernal nails on the battlefield. They don't have very high HP, but they do have a new mechanic. Each time one is killed, they do raid-wide damage and inflict vulnerability up on all targets for about 2 seconds. This ensures that players do not use the limit break such as Meteor to kill all of the nails at once, since they will instantly die from the stacked up vulnerability up and the damage from the explosion of the nails. During this phase, Ifrit will still do Incinerate, meaning you will still have to tank swap, Inferno Howl, and Eruptions, though while the nails are alive, Ifrit will only do a single eruption under a single target, so it's much easier to dodge. After about 45 to 50 seconds, Ifrit will jump into the center of the room and perform Hellfire. If you destroyed all the nails, this will just do several thousand damage. If you didn't, it'll instantly wipe the raid. Now begins phase 2 of the encounter. Ifrit still retains most of the same abilities from phase 1, though he now adds 2 more to the list. He will still alternate howls on the healers, use Eruptions, and Incinerate. Additionally now, he will start this phase off with Radiant Plumes. These plumes will cover about 95% of the arena, and the only 2 safe spots are in the northeast and southwest corners. With Ifrit's low HP, we aren't sure if there's more than one set of plumes designated to spawn in this phase. So, if anyone has encountered a second set of plumes in this phase and they are different than the current set of plumes, please be sure to leave it in the comments below to help anybody reading this guide. Thank you. After plumes, he will pick a target for Inferno Howl before jumping into the air to perform 4 dashes across the entire arena. These dashes have a far greater hitbox, so you can no longer stand in between Ifrits to avoid the dashes. Additionally, if you are hit by the center of the dash directly in front of Ifrit, he will knock you into the center of the room, most likely getting you killed by all the other charges. He will do these dashes in a clockwise direction, so as soon as he jumps, be prepared to set up before the first jump and move as soon as he dashes for the first time. Now during this jump and his dashes, there will be a healer with Searing Wind, the Inferno Howl debuff, so this healer should be sure to be positioned away from the group, but still running in a clockwise direction. Having them on the opposite side of the arena promises no mess-ups and makes the run similar for both of you. After Ifrit lands again, he will pick a new target for Inferno Howl before doing Eruptions. At this point in my guide, we managed to push him into his second nail phase of the encounter. This nail phase will contain 8 nails along the outside of the arena, each dealing the same damage and vulnerability up debuff that the nails did in the previous phase. Ifrit will still use Incinerate, Eruptions, and Inferno Hal, but he now adds a new ability, Infernal Fetters. This ability creates a chain between 2 targets. Both targets will deal reduced damage and take fire damage over time. The damage reduction and the damage that the players take over time increases the farther the 2 targets are away from each other. At 6 stacks, it dealt about 600 damage every 3 seconds, and at 1 stack it only dealt about 50. This attack will always target the player second on the enmity list, most likely the off-tank, as well as 1 random DPS. In order to counter this, we have the off-tank move with the DPS around the outside as they try to kill the nails together. The tricky part about this is when the off-tank needs to swap with the main tank due to Incinerate. This will then require the DPS it selects to follow the main tank over to Ifrit and stand on Ifrit's behind while the tank gets enmity. This DPS can attack any nearby nails during this, just so long as he doesn't run too far away or get swiped by Ifrit. In total, you will have 70 seconds to kill these 8 nails while dealing with these mechanics. After 70 seconds, Ifrit will again use Hellfire. This now pushes you into Phase 3 of the fight, which is not any different from Phase 2. Ifrit still does his abilities in the same order: Plumes, Howl, Jumps and Dashes, Howl, Eruptions, Howl, Eruptions. Basically, you handle this phase exactly the same as you handled Phase 2 of the encounter. When Ifrit hits 20%, he'll spawn his final set of nails, a total of 13 nails. You'll have about 100 seconds to kill all 13 nails before Ifrit does Hellfire. This nail phase is almost identical to the previous one, except for 1 glaring nail in the center of the arena. This nail is far larger, but serves generally the same purpose as all of the other nails. For example, it still explodes, and it still only gives 1 stack of vulnerability damage. However, the explosion deals about 3,000 damage as opposed to the couple hundred that the other nails were doing. So definitely do not break it with any vulnerability stacks available. Ensure everyone is topped up before breaking it, but be very, very hasty with this. Other than that, Ifrit still does Incinerate, Eruptions, Inferno Howl, and Infernal Fetters. After taking down this nail, the final phase of the fight is exactly the same as phases 2 and 3. So, at this point, congratulations on your new Primal Weapon. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, favorite, subscribe, and share for more Final Fantasy XIV and Final Fantasy videos and information. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and Twitter. You can ask me questions to get regular updates about when I'm posting videos there. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitch, where I do stream Final Fantasy XIV as well as Final Fantasy classic games, and I'm going to be streaming some other games in the year of 2014. But anyway, guys, I'm going to shoot over to the walkthrough right now, so stay tuned for the end of this video so I can walk you through Ifrit Extreme. See you there, guys. Hey guys, so here we go with Ifrit Extreme. Honestly, before we even start, I was kind of disappointed with this fight. I mean, it definitely feels worthy of the Extreme title, but it doesn't feel like they put nearly as much work into Ifrit as they did Garuda and Titan. But that's another story for another time. Let's move on. So as you can see, he's swiping, incinerating. That was his first incinerate of the fight, but other than that, he is just swiping every single auto attack, so you really don't want to get caught in front of him. Of course, don't be afraid when this happens, when he turns around to Inferno Hal, one of the healers, but as you can see, we run to the right and back a little bit, depending on, where we are. Obviously, it would have been best if we had all just run straight back, but it gets a little nerve-wracking with the healer on the left-hand side with that. As you can see, we would have completely been safe, and we wouldn't have had to run over to the healer. But as long as it's any direction away from the Inferno Howl person, you should be okay, since they can stand still and heal the entire time. So as you can see, we're already on to the first nail phase. I mean, this is what I meant by Ifrit has very low HP, and it's probably because they expect you to spend a lot of time on these infernal nails. And I guess in theory that works, because with the total HP that the infernal nails have, he does have significantly more HP than it seems, but it just makes the phases go by individually very, very fast, and this basically becomes a fight against the nails more than against Ifrit. Now, don't get me wrong. Incinerate tank swapping becomes extremely annoying. Inferno Hal, extremely annoying if you don't know how to control it. Vulcan Burst, always annoying, it knocks you back. Eruptions, not so annoying anymore. An inconvenience, but not so annoying. The Plumes and the dashes definitely don't seem that bad either. It's really just the Incinerate and the Howl that are really difficult. Like, those are the big mechanics of the fight, until, of course, you get to the individual nail phase. Infernal Fetters definitely makes things a little bit more interesting, but mostly for the tank and not so much for the DPS. Just keep in mind we are overgeared for this fight, but compared to being overgeared for the other fights versus being overgeared for this one, it definitely felt like this one wasn't as tightly tuned. Don't get me wrong, it's tightly tuned, because after we destroy the final nail, there's usually only 5 to 10 seconds left before Ifrit is doing his jump. So that lets me know that if you were in full item level 70 gear, this fight would be really freaking hard, guys. So as you can see, he did Howl, now he's doing the jump. We have our healers on the opposite sides of the arena. That way they don't have to deal with, you know, well, anything. We do the jumps, and that's pretty much the end of it. So at this point, we're just going through the phase normally. Now he's going to do Inferno Howl. We all took a swipe right there. It's not so bad, as you can see, but you don't want that to happen. Do your best to not let that happen. So we just got Howl on the other healer. Basically, our healers try to switch positions as often as possible. Like, for example, you can see the healer right here standing on this side, but after the other healers, Searing Wind wears off, they tend to switch places. That way the healer is always on that opposite side. The more difficult part is during the nail phase when they have to be careful, because you're rotating around the arena in the nail phase, but the tank is standing still, it can create some interesting situations with Inferno Hal. As you can see, the healer on the right-hand side just got it. So if you look closely on your minimap, you can see that they're in the process of well, for now they're dodging this, but in a second, they will have the option to switch places. Mostly, they're only going to switch places during the nail phase, however. And that's mainly because you don't want the healer that has Searing Wind on this side of the arena when you're, you know, we go clockwise around the arena to kill all the nails. Now, luckily, his Searing Wind wore off, and the other healer is up next for Inferno Howl, so we don't have to worry about getting hit by Searing Wind for quite a while now. So one by one, we're going to start killing these nails. And as you can see, there's chains between me and the off-tank. So you can see the debuff for Infernal Fetters on the right-hand side of my buff and debuff bar. And it's only at 1 stack, so we're not really taking that much damage right now. Only about 50, as long as we stay at 1 stack. It only does about 50 damage every few seconds, which is really negligible. But you'll see here in a second, when I get linked again to the other tank. Oh, no, never mind. That's a different face. I thought I was using different footage. Seems I have more than one bit of footage, and I'm actually using a different one for this win. But anyway, the farther you are away, the more it'll do. I guess I'll just have to include the part of the video that I was including before where you could actually see the increased damage. But trust me, it does do significantly more damage if you are far away from the off-tank who has the fetters on them. So all in all, as long as your off-tank and your DPS are able to stay close and deal damage, you should be alright for the DPS check of the second nail phase. As you can see, still going through Inferno Hal, and whatever. One big thing here during Hellfire, make sure that your healer that has Searing Wind on him doesn't come stand and group up to heal, because you will be in a lot of pain. And you definitely don't want to deal with Hellfire and Inferno Hal at the exact same time. So as you can see, there's this small area on the arena, and then there's another small area to the southwestish corner, the complete opposite corner, basically, where there's another safe spot. So all in all, it's not just that it's really predictable, because Titan and Garuda are both also really predictable, but Ifrit just seems to have less involved mechanics, as you can see. I mean, the fact that phases 2, 3, and 4 are exactly the same, with the same Radiant Plume patterns, with the, you know, Incinerates, with the swipes, with the Howl and the Eruptions and the jumps, everything is almost exactly the same. Even the places where he does his 4 jumps doesn't seem to be done right. I mean, the fact that he always jumps from the same almost the same 4 locations, it's usually off a little bit. But for the most part, he always jumps from like the south corner-ish and then goes around clockwise. So I don't know. I feel like he could have just been way more interesting with this one. It's just me. If you're going to call him extreme, I feel like they should have definitely put a little bit more work. Howl and Incinerate and the feathers and the amount of nails, sure, that's all great. But unfortunately, not only does it not really come together because if it's low HP, but it's phases 2, 3, and 4 are exactly the same. Once you know phase 2, you know phase 3, and you know phase 4. So it's kind of strange. At this point, after phase 2 is basically the last phase. All you have to do is deal with the 2 other nail phases after you get to phase 2, and you pretty much know the fight. Now, don't get me wrong, this nail part can be quite nerve-wracking, mainly because of the off-tank getting the feathers effect. When the off-tank gets the feathers effect, and then the main tank gets 3 stacks on Incinerate, it can cause a lot of problems, mainly because they need to run all the way over, provoke, make sure that they don't kill anyone with Incinerate or the swipe while they're doing that. And then on top of all that, the DPS needs to run with them and make sure to DPS a nearby nail. But they also need to be sure not to kill the nearby nail at the same time that everybody else is attacking the other nail, so that you don't get the super stacking vulnerability up debuff. You know, the debuff also only lasts 2 seconds, and I guess that is literally just there to counter level 3 limit breaking them. There's really no other reason for it. So all in all, you've seen the entire fight now. We're on the final nail phase, and he's gonna die very quickly. As you can see, the fight itself is also very quick. I mean, it's not much quicker or much. The speed of the fight is about the same as Titan Extreme and Garuda Extreme. The biggest difference is that most of the time is spent in these nail phases. Like I said, about 50 seconds, 70 seconds, and 100 seconds. So that's 220 seconds approximately of just nail phases. That's almost just 4 minutes alone. And the rest of the fight is just spent either with Ifrit in the air or you just wailing into him. Overall, fight was a little bit disappointing, but it does mean that you will get your primal weapons very easily after you've beaten Titan Extreme. I have no doubt that if you were able to beat Titan Extreme and his sort of scripted encounter, that you won't have much of a problem with Ifrit here at all. As you can see, before he even jumps up to do Hellfire, he's down to sub 10% almost. So anyway, guys, hopefully this guide helps you. Definitely, like I said, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. All that stuff I said before we actually got to this part of the video. Definitely be sure to do it. I would greatly appreciate all of that. Also, definitely be sure to pick up the right primal weapon. I will be doing a short video explaining what you do after you get the primal weapons. A lot of people are asking what you do to actually get the primal weapons after you beat the 3 extreme mode primals. So I will definitely be including a short video on that very soon. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of the fight. We did get the Inferno Bangles of aiming on this kill, and I won them. So I'm 2 out of 3 on the Extreme Primal accessories for my Bard. Now I just need the Tremor Earrings, which are, in my opinion, the best piece of the 3. Of course, that's subject to change, but when my best in slot list comes out, then I'll definitely be 100% for sure with the right stats that I am happy with it. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.